Hey guys, Pastor Jake here, and I wanted to come to you and provide some updates on how we are handling the coronavirus, COVID-19 situation here at Joy Church in Eugene, Oregon, and just hopefully give you some insight into the way that we're approaching this to help you as you kind of navigate through these choppy waters and what's going on. So let me just first start by saying that I really appreciate you as a pastor and a leader. And this is a significant time for us to rise up and be the church in the midst of crisis. I believe that this challenge and these circumstances, though they are not from God, I don't believe that for one second, but that they do provide us opportunities to share the gospel, expand the kingdom, and be the light, right? Be that city set upon a hill. So I want to thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your faithfulness and for your impact. Now, we found out on Thursday, as I'm sure many of you found out recently, that we were actually prohibited from gathering as a congregation. In the state of Oregon where I'm at, our governor came out and said, hey, our health department and everyone made this decision that any gathering over 250 people is prohibited. And I know other places it's actually less than that, so this impacts more people. And they've since gone on to shut down schools and sporting events in the University of Oregon, and everything is basically being, self quarantine, I guess you could use that word. Like everybody's supposed to kind of stay away from each other just to prevent the spread of this disease. Now, in that, as a church, we're kind of faced with a significant decision, right? Because obviously we believe that it's our right, but also it's our mandate to gather together as Christians and worship God. But as we looked into the situation and I talked to my elders and we had an emergency staff meeting and looked at this, we realized that actually there was a lot of potential and possibility for us to make a greater impact by thinking outside of the box and a greater opportunity by taking our services online. So we made a decision to actually take our services online for the next 4 weeks while that prohibition lasts. And the reality is it could last longer, right? We don't know for a fact that it's only going to be 4 weeks. That's kind of the beginning, and then we'll have to assess. So we made that decision and quickly began to scramble logistically to get everything prepared to get services up online. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in a second, about the logistics. But first, I want to share some of my thoughts with you about three specific opportunities that we have as the church, that you have as a leader in this climate, in this environment of fear and just everything that's going on right now is this coronavirus scare and the reality of the virus itself as it's going on. So opportunity one is this. We really believe that this gives us an opportunity to get out of the box and evangelize at an entirely new level by going online, running Facebook ads that are specifically saying and speaking into this fear that people are facing, saying, hey, do you know there's an answer for that fear? We're all feeling fear, but here's God's answer to that fear, and you can join us online. And so what our prayer is and what our belief is that God is going to actually use this opportunity for us going online, though that's hard not to meet together on Sunday. I believe that thousands of people that otherwise would not hear the gospel are actually going to be exposed to the message of the gospel as the church rises up and our services are online and we're engaging online in a much more just a much more frequent way, right? We're going to be online doing prayer meetings during the week. We're going to be engaging a lot more on social media intentionally because we're not having Sunday services. We're really bringing our church focus online and then also having our services online. So that first opportunity, if you will take hold of it, is to get out of the box and see all of the opportunities to reach the people that Jesus died for in your community who are waiting to hear from you, okay? And I know I talk about this all the time, but we can invite people to church with Facebook ads. That's awesome. We do that to invite people to church on Sunday. You can do the exact same thing and even at a higher level when it comes to inviting people to an online service. And a lot of people that would never darken the door of a church and actually physically go will watch online, okay? So that's the first opportunity. The second opportunity that we identified is that we can stand shoulder to shoulder with our civic leaders and our community rather than against our civic leaders and our community. And in this time of crisis, what we recognize is that one of the responses, and I see churches doing this, where they're going, well, we're not going to listen to the government. We're not going to be controlled. We're going to continue to meet. Here's the caution I give, and I don't criticize you if that's where you're at, and I understand there's different reasons for that, but here's what I observe. If you take that posture of hostility and kind of standing against, that could backfire on you because there's that fear that's driving people. They might see the church as like out of sorts and like not participating in the community, rather than as the church of Jesus that's meant to reach that community, okay? And so we feel like to be the best neighbors that we can be and to express the love of Christ, that we should stand shoulder to shoulder alongside of our civic leaders, because in so many other areas we do need to stand against, right? We kind of have this countercultural position in moral areas and a lot of other areas where we as the church say, this is what God's word says. We're going to hold on to that no matter what the government says or does, that type of a thing. But this situation specifically gives us an opportunity to say, hey, we support what our leaders are doing. Let's pray for them. Let's come alongside of them. And we as the church can stand shoulder to shoulder. So that's the second opportunity, which I think is a really big one, not to be overlooked. And then opportunity number 3 is this. It is a fearful time, right? People are afraid. They are panicking. They are buying all the toilet paper, right? And freaking out. We have the stock markets crashing, and I know you're aware of this. And so in this climate is an opportunity for us to provide leadership, right? And I will tell you this, and I believe it, and I'm seeing it happen right now. If we will rise up as leaders, okay, not guarding our own thing, not just building our own thing, but actually leading our community, stepping up as pastors and church leaders and saying, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to respond. This is how we're standing with our civic leaders. And we provide that voice of calm. We provide that leadership, pointing people towards God, but also just leading in this moment. What we're going to find is that people will flock to you. You'll see people flock to you because they're afraid and they're looking for leaders. So get out your leadership books, right? Get your Winston Churchill quotes ready. I mean, really think, what would a great leader do in a time of crisis like we're living in? One of the things that I did, which honestly was incredibly easy, but provided big dividends, is I got on my phone, I recorded a video basically communicating similar thoughts to what I'm communicating to you. Hey, this is what we're feeling and going through this crisis. Here's what Joy Church is going to do. Here's our response. We're not going to be living in fear. We're going to live in faith, but we're also going to be realistic, and we're going to do what we can for our community. And hey, we're here for you. We want to serve you. And I released that video out into our church groups, our Facebook groups, and our people started to share it. And now we have people that aren't even Christians in the community that are liking and sharing, commenting on these videos. Okay. Why? Because it's just a moment of leadership. They're saying who's leading in this moment, right? And I would love for church leaders and pastors just like you, just like me, to rise up all around the world and say, hey, in the darkness, the light of Christ shines the brighter, and we are leaders that are going to help you navigate through this difficult time, okay? So I know for a lot of you, the challenge now becomes logistical, right? How do we do this? And I want to encourage you with one thing, and I'll talk a little bit about how we kind of navigate the challenges of this season as well, financially and otherwise. But first, logistically, I would encourage you not to go out and buy expensive cameras or gear. If you're having to do service online, if you're under a certain size, you might not have to do it online. But if you do, there could be this fear like, okay, we have to go get all this gear and figure out how to live stream and all that. And I would say, don't try to be fancy, just be authentic, right? There's something powerful about just pulling out your phone, saying, hey, this is Pastor Jake. I'm coming to you live. We're gonna get into the Word today, and it doesn't have to be this big fancy thing. You can do church online with your cell phone and a Facebook account, okay? And you don't need more than that. Now, for churches that have the resources that are a little bit larger, there is software you can get that allows you to mix music together and bring the camera feed in. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a broadcast that we put together that gets broadcast out live, but we have the resources to do that. But the reality is, a lot of what we're doing is just that very basic, very simple recording, speaking, communicating, and providing leadership. People will feel your leadership through a simple Facebook Live video coming from your phone, selfie style, or they'll feel it through a produced kind of service, okay? So don't feel like you have to have this major production. But if you have questions, if you need help, if you need recommendations, I am here as a resource for you. My team is here as a resource for you. So if you need help, respond to this email, comment on this video, let us know, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you're able to do. We will provide some help for you, even beyond what we have with our courses and all of that. We're here as a resource for you because we're in this together, right? We are the church and we're building through this time of crisis. The second issue that I know is going to be of concern, and we talked about this internally as well, is that if you're not having services, it means you're not taking up and receiving a tithe and an offering. passing the plates, right, on Sunday. And for us, a good portion of our resource actually still does come in through Sundays. And so some of our team was a little bit afraid, and we said, hey, let's turn this lemon into lemonade. We want to get more people engaged with online giving. Also, we want to teach people about the discipline of giving, not just giving sort of in the moment at church, but we want them to be basically tithing and giving and practicing biblical generosity, even if it was hard to do so. And so now this time gives us an opportunity to challenge people. Hey, this is where you give online. This is how we do this. This is the discipline of giving. So here's what I'd like to encourage you to do. I sent an email to our entire church and I explained the situation and I provided leadership and I talked to them about our plan, right? I gave them some concrete steps that we're going to take as a church. And then I said, but hey, we're also looking at financially that we can't stop functioning. In fact, our requirements financially might even go up a little bit through this time as we serve our community and we help people and so on and so forth. Plus, we're in the middle of a building project. That's just kind of a thing for us right now. And I said, so make sure that as we are not necessarily coming together, you can give these ways. Make sure you stay faithful in your giving. So my challenge to you as a pastor and a leader is not to back off of this, but to lean in and communicate where things stand financially with your church. People will love to hear from you, and you can coach them, you can teach them, you can provide, you can educate them on what it means to be a follower of Jesus in the area of finances, but also you can help people understand this is how you give online, this is how you text to give, these are the resources available, or you can mail a check, but make those things available. We're going to do an offering, quote unquote, talk in our live streamed service. We're going to do that because we are functioning just like we are. We are the church. The church is not a building, and the church is not just what happens inside the four walls of the building. We are going to continue to operate in all ways as the church, even as we are doing this digital thing. So those of you that have fear for that, what I would encourage you is lean into that, teach your people, use this as an opportunity to springboard people into a greater level of generosity. And I'll say this, people don't give to need, they give to vision. So you got to cast vision, okay? What is the vision you can cast? And I believe, it starts with teaching that right theology of giving and generosity, and it goes to what is the mission of the church that people give towards. It's the same mission whether you're online or offline, okay? So make sure and address that. And again, we're looking to provide leadership for your own church, for the community. Be a leader in these times. We're not coming from a position of need. We're coming from a position of opportunity and vision, and we're leading our church through this time of crisis. Now, let me just speak from the heart a little bit. I mean, I am the whole video, but let me speak from the heart a little bit about what I believe is going to happen. So I believe that we are going to see the fear, continue. I think that's going to happen. I don't have any prognostication of like this great doom and gloom. I believe our leaders and authorities and nation are working hard to help with this situation. But we are going to see economic impact. We are already seeing economic impact. We are seeing panic and, hoarding, people buying things. So there's great fear. And I believe that's going to continue for a period of time until we kind of turn the corner on this. And here's what else I believe, though, okay? In the midst of that, the church has always thrived in the midst of darkness because the light of God is that much clearer to see. And we have a tremendous opportunity here right in front of us to lead and serve and share and talk right into this scenario, whether that's in person or digitally, but probably going to happen online, right? As everybody's kind of sitting in their houses for a few weeks. We have a tremendous opportunity. And here's what I believe is going to happen. I believe that at Joy Church, and I believe at your church, if you'll do what we're talking about here, that we're going to grow financially, numerically, kingdom impact, and we're going to see revival take place even through this next time. I believe that as we take this posture of reaching into our community, standing arm in arm with our civic leaders and serve our community, that people are going to see the church in a fresh way and new light. And I believe thousands of people are going to come to know Christ. I really believe that we're going to see our live streaming services go out far, far beyond what we have ever seen before. Because so many people that otherwise really have nothing else to do, right? They're sitting at home, bored, and all of a sudden, hey, come on and watch this service. Come on and watch this service. Plus our church, we're going to activate, mobilize them to share with friends and family, invite people to watch. I believe the gospel is going to go out in a very powerful way. Now, strategically, what we're doing right now that you can emulate if you'd like to, or do your own strategy, but this is what we're doing, is I went on Facebook and I put together an ad today, just a simple Facebook video ad, and said, hey, I'm Pastor Jake from Joy Church. We can't meet, but we're excited about that because here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a special message called Facing Fear, where we look at God's answer for this fear that we're all feeling right now about what's going on. And so what a tremendous opportunity. I get to invite people to church to hear the gospel, to hear the relevant truth of God's word applied to what they're feeling right now, which is fear, and say, God's going to help you with your fear. Here's the biblical answer for fear. And we're inviting people in that way. So we fully expect to have double, triple, quadruple the amount of people that would hear a Sunday sermon actually tune in and hear a part of this or this whole message on Facebook Live. That's going to happen on Sunday. So we're specifically speaking into this. And my message is called Facing Fear. I'm going to teach on the crossing the Sea of Galilee when the disciples are afraid. And Jesus, says, why are you guys afraid? So we're going to talk about that, about they are afraid because it's real fear. It's a real situation, a real crisis, but it's not about the circumstances. It's about who's in your boat. Okay. So you can steal that if you want. It's about who's in your boat. And when you have God in your boat, when Jesus is there, the one that created everything, he can still the wind and the waves. We're going to talk about having faith in the light of fear. So bottom line, I really believe God's going to use this situation or crisis, if you will, to make a kingdom impact. Again, what the enemy intends for evil, God intends for good. Now, I'm praying for you. I'm believing for you. Hopefully this has been helpful. Let's be leaders. I am excited to see how God uses this time in your church, to see how you, in your brilliance and what God has put inside of you, rise up in this time, in this season, to be the leader that God's made you to be. If there's anything that we can do, myself or my team, if you need help with understanding logistically what to do online, man, we're open open to help you. I was gonna say open for business, but we're not selling anything. We just want to help you. Whatever you need, my team is available. We can answer questions and all of that because we're going through this together. So go be the leader God's called you to be. You're awesome. God bless you. We'll talk to you soon.